Hello, my name is Corley Holbrook. I'm with the USDA ARS, located in Tifton, Georgia. And I'd like to begin by thanking the Georgia peanut producers for their continued support of our breeding program. So sorry we couldn't meet in person this year, but did want to give you a little update on the latest things coming out of the program. So today I'm going to focus on three cultivars. The first one you probably are aware of, Tuff V Hiwell. We released that a few years ago. The next two are currently undergoing release process. One is Tuff Jumbo and the other is Tuff NV-HG. So all these lines have the major gene for nematode resistance that came through Tuff Guard. This is a picture of Tuff Guard grown in a field with heavy nematode pressure with no nematicides. And you can see this plot of Tuff Guard clearly indicates the very high level of resistance that this gene confers to all these cultivars. So after we released Tuff Guard, we started working with Dr. Peggy Ozias-Aiken's group using marker-assisted selection to combine that major gene for nematode resistance with the genes for Hiwell. So that led us to the release of Tuff V Hiwell. It's nematode resistance, and it also has high oleic acid. About the time we released Tuff Guard, a couple of growers came to me and asked if we had a Virginia type with nematode resistance because they had some Virginia contracts. And I said we didn't, but we'd make a few crosses and see what happened. And so we did, and Tuff Jumbo happened. So it is a Virginia type. It's also high OL, and it has the major nematode resistant gene. Of course, breeding is an ongoing process, and Tuff V Hiwell is just the latest cultivar that came out of our program. It's a runner type, and it's high OL and nematode resistance, but it's an improvement to Tuff V Hiwell. In general, it has higher yields, although we're really not claiming that, but we are claiming, because it's sometimes not statistically significant, but we are claiming higher grades because that's usually statistically significant. So in general, it's just an improved Tuff V Hiwell. So now I'm going to show some data from the Georgia and Alabama variety trials. And first, let me explain how I organized these. Of course, there's more entries than these in the 2019 Georgia variety trial, but I just wanted to present some data on the three lines that we just talked about in comparison to, some standard checks that most people are aware of, like Corso 6G, 16HO. The lines are ranked based on the overall mean from highest to lowest amongst these groups of cultivars. And both Georgia and Alabama, what they do is they use a bold text for anything that's not significantly different than the top yielding genotype in that group. So you can see from this slide and this Georgia variety trial, this is an average of 3 locations in 2019. And you can see that Tuff NV-HG was not quite in the top group for irrigated, but it was in the top group for dryland. And for both the mean for the dryland and the irrigated over 3 locations, it was significantly better than Tuff V Hiwell. The Georgia variety trial also included some Virginia types, so we were lucky to get some data on Tuff Jumbo, and in 2019, Tuff Jumbo did very well in the irrigated and the dryland and overall test. And it was significantly better than Georgia 19 HP. Oh, because of the pandemic, the Georgia variety trials could only be conducted at Tifton last year, but they did conduct a dryland and an irrigated trial. Interesting to note that the irrigated trial was in general lower yield than the dryland. But you can see in this case, Tuff and VHG did very good in the irrigated and the dryland and the combined. Significantly better than Tuff V Hiwell and Georgia 14N, another nematode resistant runner type. In the 2020 Georgia peanut variety trials for Virginia types, Tuff Jumbo was not quite in the significantly highest category in the irrigated conditions, but it was in that group for the dryland conditions, and it was in the significantly highest group when combined over both trials. Looking at the 2020 Alabama peanut variety trials, they had an irrigated trial at Headland and a non-irrigated trial. And in this case, Tuff and VHG did very well for yield and very well for grade in the top group for both those variables, and significantly higher for both those variables in comparison to Tuff and V Hiwell, and significantly higher in yield compared to Tuff and V, compared to Georgia 14N. Looking at the non-irrigated trial, you can see here Tuff and VHG also did very well for yield and grade. Interestingly, Tuff Guard continued to do very well in Headland in both the non-irrigated and the irrigated last year. And Tuff Jumbo did okay, not in the top group, but it was a respectable showing. And Tuff and VHG was significantly better than Tuff and V Hiwell and Georgia 14N. Lastly, I want to make just a few brief comments about something we talked about last year, and then that's our efforts to get some major genes for leaf spot resistance from wild species introgressed into cultivars, just like the nematode resistant gene came from wild species. And this is a field shot of a field test we had last year at the Gibbs Farm in Tift County, and this is a nematode resistant single backcross line compared to Georgia 13M. It's a close-up of that. It's a very high level of resistance. We also in the non-sprayed and the minimum sprayed test had very good yields for some of these leaf spot resistant varieties. We had excellent leaf spot resistance and also very good yields. We're currently analyzing the grade, and we'll be talking more about that at the research report days for the Georgia Peanut Commission. So if you have any questions, certainly send me an email or give me a call. Be happy to try and answer any questions or listen to any comments you might have.